Hey there, podcast enthusiasts. Welcome to The Chat Room, a podcast brought to you by Murray Media Group, where we dive into the coolest and quirkiest things that have captured our hearts and made it to our favorites list. Get ready for a roller coaster of fun and laughter as we share our absolute must-haves, binge-worthy shows, latest obsessions, and everything in between.
I'm Abby. I'm Sydney.
And I'm Leanne. So today, you guys, we're going to be talking about our very favorite podcast episodes. And since you're here listening to a podcast, you know, that means that you would want this information, right?
Yeah. Right, obviously.
Okay, so Abby, what is your favorite podcast, and maybe how did you find it?
I really like the Plant School podcast by Tenny Podcast.
Oh, yes. It's a good time to interject that Abby is our plant. I wouldn't call it a connoisseur. What do you call a person who collects plants?
A planter? Plant parent.
A plant parent. That's right. Okay, so Abby is our plant parent here at MMG. She keeps all of the life going, literally, in the offices.
She does. I brought in an orchid one time, and it died after one day.
I know. Sometimes when people give me plants, I'm like, thank you for just making me feel bad about myself, because you know that this plant's about to die in the next 48 to 70-something hours, however it's calculated. But anyways, sorry for interrupting you, Abby.
No worries.
Go into that.
Yeah, I really like that podcast because it breaks down really common house plants and how to take care of them so that you don't kill them in 48 to 70-something hours.
What's the hardest houseplant to care for?
Honestly, probably an orchid. Like Sydney said, it.
So see, Sydney, you're not a failure.
Yeah, I just started off like on a different level than I should have.
You went on the advanced level.
I went straight to extreme.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Yeah, they tend to lose their flowers really quickly. And a lot of people actually think that because the flowers died, that the plant's dead. But it's actually not true, which is part of why it makes it so difficult, because the plant that you want to keep alive are the big leaves at the bottom. And then every couple months, the orchid will bloom again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you prune that?
Yeah. Once the
That's the only gardening word I know.
Yeah, once the flower stem it loses its little flowers, and it starts to turn a little bit brown, then you go to the bottom. There's some little nubs in between. They're called nodes. So in between those two little nubs, you kind of cut it off, and it'll regrow a new one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And what was the name of that podcast again?
It's called Plant School.
Plant School. Do you know who the host is?
I don't remember their names, but the host, I guess company.
It's a plant.
They're called they're called Tenny Plants.
Okay.
And they sell plants too.
Okay, awesome. So that's kind of who provides. Okay,
yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Sydney?
Well, I have a lot of podcasts that I listen to, but
What kinds of podcasts do you like to listen to?
I like to listen to, I would say true crime I listen to that every night before I go to sleep. That's my bedtime story is Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
You don't get nightmares?
No. It's in a weird way, it's comforting, and I hate to say this, but it makes me feel better about my life. That I'm not in those anybody's position, the serial killer, the victim,
So if you need to feel better about yourself, murder
Yes.
is the way to go.
Listening to murder.
Listening to murder,
yes,
not doing them.
Not the act. Yes.
Not for legal purposes.
The moment that the
Disclaimer.
podcast tanked is when I suggested murder. No. Okay. So continue.
There's a creator, I guess, on Spotify, or an account or something. They're called Parcast, and they have tons of different genres. They have a cults one. They also have haunted places, and they kind of go through it and tell a story as opposed to other podcasts where they just lay out the facts and a timeline. It's very much you can hear the emotion in their voice, and they kind of play it out a little bit, role play, like, sort of. So, like, that's, like, kind of interesting. But they also have, like, really calm voices, and it's, like, a little bit monotone, so it's easy to fall asleep to.
Yeah.
So I really like that one. But, yeah.
In the same line, there's a podcast series that's called Something Sinister. And it's these two girls, I believe that they're out of, or I should say women. They're to these two women out of Missouri. And they track serial killers. But they also categorize them based on their astrological symbol. And so they, like, take all the different Geminis and all the different, like, Leos and, like, talk about what serial killers are, like, in their astrological signs, how they match up. And then they go into, like, the history and, like, all the psychology behind it. It's Something Sinister is what that's called. But
I need to look up Scorpio serial killers now.
Awesome.
I just need to know.
Awesome. And then, like, two of my favorites, I like The Armchair Expert by Dax Shepard, but I'm also into, like, celebrity news, and IMDb is, like, my favorite thing to get lost on. I don't know why. I also have, like, one of those photographic memories where I can remember, like, what year a movie was made. So I think I like IMDb for that reason, and trying to, like, figure out every single thing that one actor or actress has been in. But The Armchair Expert, Dax Shepard and his co-host Monica Padman, they interview very famous celebrities. But that's a long-winded one. So if you're looking for, like, road trip series, those podcast episodes are anywhere from, like, an hour and a half long to 2 hours long. Nice. Just start with the Matthew McConaughey's. Just
Always start with
Matthew McConaughey. He has an amazing voice, and he's cute.
Yeah.
And he has an amazing voice.
Yeah.
And he's had Matthew McConaughey on there a couple of times talking about his films, things like that, but then also talking about his book Greenlight that he released a couple of years ago. And they're just funny. Now that podcast series, Armchair Expert, I would rate that like a PG-13. I would probably be a little bit aware if you have little ears listening along with you, because there's some language in that and some content that may not, you may not want little ears to hear. But for adults, Armchair Expert is my number one podcast that I would recommend. The other one that I like is actually for along the line of like houseplants. It's called House Therapy by Amanda Gibby Peters, and she is a feng shui expert who I have her book. Yeah. And I love to listen to her podcast. It's like these really easy, digestible tips for around your house for creating good feng shui, which is like the energetic tone and the flow of your house. Nice. So, yeah. Spring cleaning will be coming up in a few months. So tune in to the House Therapy podcast for some tips on that to get your house all the feng shui it needs.
Your celebrity podcast, Armchair Expert, reminded me of a podcast that I've just recently started listening to. It's called Steve-O's Wild Ride. I don't know if anybody here has watched the Jackass series.
Yes.
Yeah, those movies. Steve-O, he is one of the, I don't want to say main characters because he's a real person, but he has a podcast now. And he brings on like all these different types of like famous people, but they're not just celebrities. Like one of them was Neil deGrasse Tyson. I want to say that. He's a full scientist
physicist,
or astronaut.
He's a smart guy.
Philosopher. Like they were asking him
astrophysicist.
Yes, okay, you got it.
Smart person.
Yes, a smart person. But that one was, like, super interesting. They were asking him all types of crazy questions about the universe and, like, consciousness. And, it's just, he was, like, debunking a lot of things that you see on social media. And, like, I studied philosophy when in college. So, like, it was just, like, cool hearing that again. And then, like, I don't know, just, like, debunking stuff on Instagram. He's like, no.
I like debunking episodes of anything.
Yeah, so that one was good. He also had Lisa Vanderpump on there, so you can, like, see she's a real housewife of Beverly Hills, so you can, like, just kind of see, like, his range of people that he brings on there. It's always an interesting conversation.
Can we segue to the Vanderpump series for just a moment?
Absolutely.
Do you guys watch that?
Yes.
I've never watched it either, but I see it, like, constantly. So,
it's really good.
60-second fill-in, Sydney. Sydney's
Oh.
our pop culture reference for the day.
Are you talking about her show about her restaurant?
I
What is
don't
it
know. I don't know who Vanderpump is.
Vanderpump Rules.
That one.
Yes. So basically it's a show about, Lisa Vanderpump was on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and she owns a ton of restaurants in the LA area. I mean, all across the globe, but and this one restaurant in particular, Sir, is where it started. It's like been on for like 10 years, and it's filled with like just so much drama. And recently, I think they're like on their 10th or 11th season, and two of like the people who were on there, Ariana and Tom, they've been dating for like 10 years. Tom cheated on Ariana.
That's all I know.
Yeah,
That was my
her best
intro
friend.
into that show. And I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's happened? And then I looked it up and it was like, this has been on forever. And I'm like, hello, Rock. I'm crawling out from underneath you.
Yeah, you would never know. Like it was such an underrated show. Like, and now everybody's into it. And I'm like,
Do they have a
Should we?
podcast?
a lot of the people on the show do have their own individual podcasts,
Okay.
but not like a Vanderpump. They have a show.
Got it. Got it.
Sydney's having her like hipster moment. I liked this before it was cool.
Yeah, literally.
Totally. That's why I
Story
don't know
of my
what
life.
anything is, because I refuse to get on bandwagons. I'm an OG hipster. I'm like, oh my God, if you say it's cool, I'm not going to do it.
Same.
But
Yeah.
did you do the finger mustache tattoo thing?
I definitely did
No,
in middle school.
I don't even know. I've seen people do
And I
that.
definitely posted a picture of it on Instagram.
Nope, I'm that hipster. I'm just out of the loop. But anyways, well, so you guys go to that QR. Well, if you're seeing this, you're listening to this, you hit the QR code in the publication that you see. So stay tuned for next month's episode where we will be covering next month's topic. And Sydney, Abby, thank you so much for being here today on our podcast.
Thanks
Each
for
month.
having me.
Yeah. Yeah, and each month we're going to kind of trade out all of the different people and members of our creative team here at Murray Media Group. So stay tuned for the next episode, and we will see you never, because we can't see anything. All right, have a good day. Bye.